Oh, yeah, he is back.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It's Locked On Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day on a Thursday, August 31st into Friday, September 1st. Folks, next week, I won't be doing a Thursday afternoon show. We'll be doing a Thursday night show because in 1 week, the Lions and Chiefs will kick off the season at 8:20 at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. This is exciting. We're a week away. Welcome in. Thanks for making us your first listen. Checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions, on Threads, The Real Matt Dery Facebook fan page, and thanks to those of you subscribing and watching for free on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Big news today. Certainly, you see it on the screen for those of you who are watching. Yes, Craig Reynolds is back. That's my dog. That's my dog. Yes, Craig Reynolds is back. Come on, Craig. Get up. Get up, Craig. Returning to the team. We will discuss that coming up. TJ Hockenson, the former Lion, is now the highest paid tight end in football. Come on. A lot of money for TJ Hockenson. The Lions have a new third-string quarterback. David Blough's back. Come on. It's like old home week. I feel like I'm doing a show from a couple of years ago. And we'll get into a little bit more about the practice squad, more additions being made. We'll do all that today coming up on Locked On Lions. Today we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook at Locked On. Make every moment more right now. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Thanks to our everydayers who are out there. My guy Andy J over on Threads. And everybody else that checks us out and watches and listens each and every day. The podcast is blowing up. We've had some unbelievable numbers in terms of our YouTube views. Thank you to the Lions fans. You guys are just fantastic and appreciate your support. There's a lot of places you can go for Lions content. All right, I'm certainly not the only one doing this. And there's some great websites as well and all the great beat writers. But you choose to check us out, and I appreciate that right here. On Locked On Lions. All right, so many of you were tweeting to me. It came out this afternoon. It is exciting, and it's something that we did expect to happen, but we weren't 100% sure. But running back Craig Reynolds, a folk hero on this show, because for those of you that don't know, the movie Friday, Ice Cube plays Craig, and there's the scene when Craig fights Debo, the bully in the neighborhood, and when Debo knocks him down and puts him in a sleeper hold, and he gets back up, he's down to the count, down for the count. And his dad says, "Come on, Craig." So anytime I say Craig Reynolds, we say, "Come on, Craig." And it's exciting because Craig Reynolds is a good football player. The Lions needed to add another running back besides Bam Knight, who they added yesterday for the practice squad. Couldn't go into week one with two healthy running backs. So Craig Reynolds has been added to the 53-man roster, so we're excited about that. Julian Okwara, not a surprise, suffered a leg and knee injury, rolled up on a guy in Carolina last Friday in the preseason finale. He'll be placed on injured reserve short-term IR, which means he will have to miss at least the first 4 games. So the Lions had to wait it out with Julian Okwara, throw him on IR now while it's the short-term IR, and maneuver some things with the roster and get Craig Reynolds back on. So they probably had an agreement with Craig Reynolds to stay. And so he was cut for a minute, but now is back. So the Lions running back room as of right now is Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, and Craig Reynolds with Zonovan Bam Knight on the practice squad. And of course, they're carrying Jason Kabinda as well as the fullback. Amongst the released players that the Lions have had that have been claimed or have signed with another team. We mentioned yesterday, Starling Thomas, cut, is now his Arizona Cardinal. Jermaine Ifedi, the backup tackle, is going with the Bills. Christian Covington, Chargers practice squad, and Ryan Swoboda, the backup tackle, is on the Jets practice squad. Also today, the Lions have added to their practice squad officially Bam Knight, Dylan Drummond, Maurice Alexander, another wide receiver, Doris Fountain, Owosika, Michael Neese, another guard, Connor Galvin, who they let go last week, edge rusher Raymond Johnson III, who had a really good preseason for the Bengals. It's kind of a nice pickup for Brad Holmes for some depth. Raymond Johnson, I think he led all of the preseason in quarterback hits, but he was a casualty for the Bengals. Defensive lineman Quentin Bohanna, who's like 350 pounds. Chris Smith, Trevor Nowaski, Chase Lucas, Brandon Joseph, and Michael Badgley. Also today, and you knew I would get into this and discuss it, but the Lions have added a third quarterback, and they are bringing back folk hero from last year's Hard Knocks, all-around good guy, the pride of Purdue, and former Lion, David Blough. So what this basically means is that if, big if, Jared Goff or Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater gets injured, David Blough would be the next man up, at least under the umbrella of what the Lions have now. The Lions could go out and sign another quarterback if they don't think Blough's the guy or whatever. I think David Blough's an awesome guy. I don't think he can play. I would have rather seen PJ Walker signed or, the kid from the Patriots that got cut. Why is his name escaping me? It's just been a long day. Somebody else. I mean, David Blough, I guess he's being brought back for the locker room, and he was very popular. And it's funny, last year at this time, David Blough thought he was staying. David Blough had won the backup job, if you remember, because Tim Boyle, former Mr. August, was sent packing, and then they let Blough go, but offered him a spot on the practice squad. And he turned that down to go to the Vikings practice squad, then played some games for the Cardinals at the end of last year, stayed on their team, did not make the team. I would have signed Will Grier. Will Grier's on the Bengals practice squad. Wouldn't you have signed Will Grier to the practice squad over David Blough? I don't know. It's minor. He may never play. He may always be on the practice squad. But yes, David Blough is back. So he is your third quarterback, at least for now, but he's not on the active roster. He is just on the practice squad. But, other names, again, I think the first guy that's going to come off the practice squad and be a part of the 53-man roster, I would guess Dylan Drummond eventually, and Michael Badgley if Riley Patterson, either one gets hurt or number two has a bad week one in Kansas City. And that's going to be interesting, kicking on that grass at night in front of a packed house, in front of everybody watching. If Riley Patterson misses an extra point or pushes or pulls a field goal, you wonder how quick the hook is going to be. Because Michael Badgley toward the end of last year was pretty good. I know he was injured during training camp and in a little bit in the midst of some off-season workouts, and the Lions then let him go. John Parker Romo, and Riley Patterson duked it out. Patterson won it, but it's obviously they know Badgley well. Had a chance with the Commanders, didn't happen. Had an opportunity with the Titans, didn't happen. But the Money Badger is back, at least on the practice squad for right now. So, again, at this moment, 4 running backs, 5 receivers, 3 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, 8 offensive linemen, 5 interior D linemen, 6 edge rushers now that Julian Okwara has been placed on IR, 6 linebackers, 7 cornerbacks, 4 safeties. That is the roster as of right now, and again, could change at any point here. All right, coming up next, let's get into a contract I saw today for TJ Hockenson. I think Brad Holmes did the right thing. And I want to discuss that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. How about that? Now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can be on everything from spreads to player props and more. Over-unders, lines over-under for wins still stays at 9 and a hook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the National Football League. All right, so the Minnesota Vikings were trying desperately to get a contract done with former Lions tight end TJ Hockenson, and it happened today. 4 years, $68.5 million, meaning, if you do the math, TJ Hockenson at $17.12 million is now the highest paid tight end in the National Football League. He's also getting $42 million guaranteed. Darren Waller of the Giants is making $17 million. So Hockenson with the extra $100,000 or whatever becomes the highest paid tight end in the NFL. Look, TJ Hockenson's a good football player. There's no arguing. What he did for the Lions was pretty good. Detroit went on after letting go of TJ Hockenson at the trade deadline last year and dealing him in the division to Minnesota. The Lions went on to do just fine offensively. They won 8 of their last 10 games. Brock Wright had a big game against the Jets. Shane Zylstra had a big game against Carolina. They like James Mitchell, and they've added Sam Laporta. If you were the Lions this past offseason or even now, were you ready to break the bank and give Big Hawk $17.12 million a year? No. George Kittle makes 15. Travis Kelce makes 14.3. Those two are the gold standard of tight ends in this league. Darren Waller is really good. But for the New York Giants to secure Waller, they had to give him 17. I get it. Kirk Cousins was at one time the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Was Kirk Cousins the best quarterback in the NFL? No. Matthew Stafford at one point was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Was he the best in the league? No. All right. It's timing. It's open market. I get it. But I would not have given TJ Hockenson, a guy that here in Detroit for a lot of times caught the football and immediately went to the ground. There wasn't a lot of yak with him, right? There weren't a lot of special plays. I mean, the game against Seattle last year at Ford Field where Hockenson went crazy, that was awesome. But there weren't enough of those big moments. I also don't think he's a great blocker. He's a good blocker, but I don't think he's great. But the Vikings, who were squabbling with money with Danielle Hunter, now break the bank and make TJ Hockenson the highest paid tight end in the league. I'm glad Minnesota did that. Good for them. But I think what Brad Holmes and the Lions have done, utilizing their picks, all right, getting Sam Laporta from Iowa, can come in and play that Hockenson role, maybe be as good or better, right? Sam Laporta is a good player. On a rookie deal, having Brock Wright, having James Mitchell on a rookie deal for now his second year. I like what the Lions are doing. I think it's smart. All right. George Kittle is special. $15 million a year. Travis Kelce is arguably the greatest tight end ever play. All right. You can make your arguments for Kellen Winslow and Ozzie Newsome, all these guys. All right. Travis Kelce is incredibly good. Hockenson is not those guys. But he thought he was being lowballed for a little while. Ended up, got the bag, as they say. But I think the Lions avoided not a disaster, but it's a lot of money to spend. They've got a big decision to make this offseason with Jonah Jackson. Wouldn't you give Jonah Jackson a giant bag of cash as opposed to a TJ Hockenson? So I like what the Lions did there. They punted, they traded Hockenson, got some draft capital, and now he's going to stay in Minnesota, which, look, he could come back and haunt the Lions. You never know. You can play him twice a year. But $17.12 million, to me, is too much, in my opinion. All right, coming up next, we are 1 week away. 1 week away. My initial thoughts on expectations for Lions and Chiefs. We will do that next, right here on Locked On Lions. Mike Sando from The Athletic is going to join us next week. We're going to also try to chase down Mike Tirico, who will be on the call of Lions and Chiefs on NBC next Thursday night. Mike is actually going to be on the play-by-play call of the Peacock broadcast on Saturday, the Michigan Wolverines exhibition game against East Carolina. So that should be exciting. Mike Tirico, Ann Arbor Ann Arbor resident, doing the Michigan game. So that is kind of cool on Saturday. And I'm sure they're going to be Michigan fans going, I can't believe it's on Peacock. I don't want to pay for Peacock. Go to your local sports bar then and watch it on Peacock. All right, so 1 week away. Here we go. Let me say this. Number one, I don't want to hear people say, well, the Chiefs are going to be doing their ring ceremony. The Chiefs already got their rings. All right, there's no ring ceremony next Thursday. They'll erect a banner for world champs. I don't know how they're going to do it, if they're going to do it before a game, after the whatever. But this isn't like when the Stanley Cup champion gets their rings, brings the cup back out, raises the banner inside an arena. This isn't like that. All right. So to hear people say, well, the Chiefs, it might be a championship hangover. I'm not buying that. What I am buying about next Thursday night, a week from tonight, is I think the Detroit Lions are going to play really well. I'm not ready to make a prediction yet. I'm not calling for an upset. I'm not saying, oh, yeah, the Lions are going to take down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Getting them in week one, a lot of new weapons for Mahomes, a lot of young receivers, a lot of guys that maybe weren't great last year that have had good camps and preseasons this year that they're excited about. Of course, no more Eric Bieniemy as the OC and all that. Maybe now is the time to play the Chiefs. But I think the Lions are going to play well. I think the Lions have a lot of talent. And last year we saw a huge, huge win in Week 18 in a game that didn't really mean as much on paper and optically for that football team. And you know what? That team went out, smacked Green Bay in the mouth, were physical, were motivated, and they were the better team. And it was a huge stepping stone to go into this season. It gave them a winning record. It gave them some momentum. It gave them some confidence. That team that won in Green Bay now knows, hey, if we can win at Lambeau Field on the frozen tundra at night in January, we can win anywhere. Now, is that Packers team from last year as good as the Super Bowl champion Chiefs? No, they're not. But Kansas City, as of right now, with 1 week to go, does not have their stud defensive tackle, Chris Jones, who's still holding out. And I think the Lions are going to play well. I do. Don't think they're going to get blown out. I don't think they're going to embarrass us. I think the Lions are going to play well. My biggest concern, and I've been saying it, you may have a guy in Emmanuel Mosley that hasn't played a single down of preseason, wasn't in any joint practices, not even sure he'll be healthy to play in this game. You got some young secondary pieces. You have some secondary pieces that have not been on the field together for live bullets. Yes, they've been together for joint practices, but not live bullets under the lights on an NFL field. I think that's going to be a tough task. Communication, everything else for an opener when you're going up against arguably the best quarterback in the game, the best tight end in the game, speedy backs, versatility. That is a concern for me. But I'm not concerned about preparation. I'm not concerned about being ready or Dan Campbell going for it on 4th and 10 from his own 10-yard. I'm not worried about that. I think the Lions have good talent, and I think this is a great test for them to be playing in this game. And I think they'll rise to the occasion. I think there's going to be some players in that game next week who have big games. I think Aiden Hutchinson is primed for a big year. All right? Chiefs lost Orlando Brown, one of their tackles. I can see Hutch having a big night. I think the Lions are going to use Jahmyr Gibbs in this game so creatively, I think it's going to cause some issues for Kansas City. All right, Chiefs defense has gotten better under Steve Spagnuolo over the last couple of years, but it's still not a top defense in my mind. And you take Chris Jones off the field, that's another story. But I'm excited for next week. I hope you, the fans, are excited too. And I mean, we're a week away. This is it. We've been talking on this show for so many weeks, for so many months about the hype and about everything else. And we are 1 week away from the real deal. So I cannot wait. All right, thanks to our everydayers. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. We're back again tomorrow with another fresh episode of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Take care, everybody.